Welcome to another edition of Bear Down with Brian Jeffries. That would be me, and the other man you certainly recognize, Jay Johnson, head baseball coach at the University of Arizona. Fifth season, which unfortunately got interrupted, as all sports have, and we are all now just waiting it out and hoping to get back to normal at some point down the road. Jay, first of all, I want to thank you for joining us, and most importantly, how are you, your immediate family, your staff, and your players? How's everybody doing right now?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. It's awesome to be on with you. From a health standpoint, everybody in our circle is good. Immediate family, coaching staff. I see those guys frequently. We do a couple of these Zoom meetings a week and end up staying on the computer for about 3 or 4 hours, talking to each other, just as we would in the office. We do one of these calls with the players weekly and touch on a variety of subjects to make sure that we're staying connected, and that's really important during this time.
Let's go back now to mid-March. Your team had won 3 of 4. You went down and beat Texas and Austin. You're about ready to start conference play against Oregon State at High Corbett Field, and then, of course, everything comes to a stop. And maybe you can take us through that day or two, because I'm certainly it had to be difficult, not only on you and your staff, but the players in particular.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like we had a really good vibe going as a team. You know, we weren't perfect, but I believe we were 10-5 at the time. Had won that road game at Texas, good home series win against a perennial winning program in Houston, and had a good couple practices. We were on spring break that week, so we had some flexibility in terms of things we could do. Felt really good about our plan going in for Oregon State and Pac-12 play. And then it was almost like it's a car crash. You're going 1,000 miles an hour, and then you stop and it's over. And really that day, there was just a lot of disappointment, a lot of confusion, because on that day, that Thursday, I believe it was March 12th, we still didn't really understand or know the magnitude of the coronavirus and the impact it was going to have on society as a whole. So I know our players were disappointed. Then it quickly became to trying to wrap up, get most of them out of here safely, get them in place to have resources academically, and then be productive, during this time, which is unprecedented for all of us.
So the season comes to a sudden halt. You mentioned you've had a chance to talk to your players almost on a daily basis, and baseball is a team sport, and so you can't go out and replicate it in a practice situation. But what have the guys done to stay in shape, to stay as close to baseball shape as they can? Because many of them, if not all of them, if things, depending on how things unfold here, could be playing ball over the summer.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. I give a lot of credit to Jim Crumpos, our strength coach, has put together a good template for them to work. We took inventory of what all the players have access to in terms of strength and conditioning equipment, availability, feasibility of baseball equipment, be it a field to go to, a cage to hit at, all of those types of things, and put together a good plan. We meet with Coach Crumpos a couple times a week and get check-ins on what the players are doing, how well they're doing it. And then we have that Friday touch base point to see what they can do. And in some cases, it's a really good opportunity for them to almost go back into an off-season strength and conditioning program to really change their body, work on deficiencies maybe that they wouldn't have time to during the heat of the season when we're pushing hard for the NCAA tournament, Pac-12 championship, those types of things. And I think a lot of them have been productive in that regard. And then baseball-wise, what I did with the position players anyway, is we took a compilation of their best at-bats for the 15 games that we played. And then we sent those all to them and have kind of walked through them to try to keep that as present as possible. Now, baseball is a game of monotonous routine, and there's just some things that you can't simulate at this time. They're not taking 12, 15 at-bats a week off live pitching. But the message that we've pushed is for them to be self-reliant and to do the best that they can with what they have.
All right. Great to hear. So you got 4 seniors on your roster. You have some other draft-eligible players as well, and that's probably some of the mystery of what we're going through right now is what are their immediate futures like, depending on how the baseball draft goes, et cetera. Is that something you've had a chance to even talk to those guys about, or what's their mindset right now?
Yeah, I mean, we have gotten some answers, if you will, of what's going to happen going forward. I really want to give a shout out or a positive feedback to, if you will, to the NCAA for granting everybody an extra year of eligibility. I know there's some challenges that come along with that. I just think it was the right thing to do, because where we were at the season and the circumstances are really out of anybody else's control. It was really good to be able to grant them the extra year of eligibility. So having that piece was part of the information. There's still some unknowns as far as the draft, when it's going to happen, how long it's going to be. So we're still kind of working our way through that. There's a lot of things that we still need to see what's going to happen, potential relief, from the NCAA as far as scholarship parameters, those types of things, to view what our roster looks like. I've had some good conversations with a few of the players that could directly be impacted by it. And, our hope is, that they would want to return to Arizona.
Absolutely. When you were growing up, I mean, being a baseball coach, when did that first kind of cross your mind?
My dad was a really good high school coach, both football and track. And so, I was, running around football fields from the time I can remember and watching game film and those types of things. So I don't know if I necessarily had baseball per se in my mind, but coaching and being part of athletics and I've been a part of a team since I was 5 years old. So now looking at this is like 36, 37 years, whatever. This is the first time baseball's been stopped at this point in the year. So that's a little strange, but I really grew up around competitive athletics. I grew up in a winning house, where competition was really valued. And that's something that's really been a part of my foundation for as long as I can remember.
First Major League Baseball game you ever attended?
I can't say that specifically. I know it was a San Francisco Giants game. Spent a few days, few weekends at Candlestick Park back in San Francisco. All I remember is having a picture of me being very small. So I would probably say 2 years old and at a Giants game. Yeah.
All right. Favorite player growing up?
Had a few. I really liked Ozzie Smith. He was one of the best defensive shortstops of that time, and I was always intrigued. The athleticism, the backflips, the diving plays, all of those types of things. Tony Gwynn, who I had an opportunity to coach against even a few times, was always one of my favorite hitters. And then overall style of play, it's not always a popular choice, but I loved Pete Rose, just his hard-nosed nature and how competitive he was. So those are three that kind of stand out to me.
When we were in Las Vegas for the Pac-12 basketball tournament, I'm headed towards the arena through the hotel, and who do I see sitting there but Pete Rose signing autographs? And it was kind of neat. Yeah, he is an icon, no matter what you think of him. Certainly one of the greatest ever.
Talking just pure baseball, hard-nosed grinder. Love that part.
That's it. So if you weren't a baseball coach, was there another occupation that had ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, it'd probably be a football coach, to be honest with you. I think in college I gave a business major about 10 minutes and realized, that probably wasn't for me at that juncture. And, like I said, my heart's always been in coaching and athletics. Love football. I follow, our program and college football really closely. But yeah, I don't know that I've given much thought about it. And, to put it simply, I get to do exactly what I want to do, where I want to do it. And that's not something I take for granted.
You go to High Corbett almost every day. What do you miss most about baseball right now?
The whole component of it. I think the two things that really come to mind are the daily interactions with the players, and helping them figure out what they need to do to be successful and ultimately make our team successful. That's always a challenge that I love about this job. And then, there's a competitive element that none of us are getting a chance to get exposed to right now. And, trying to be better than, some of the best programs in the country, and it was a really good year again, as always in the Pac-12. And was really looking forward to that, the competitive nature of those series. And, we're missing some home series against, Stanford, UCLA, Arizona State, Oregon State, which I know our fans are certainly bummed out about, and our players and we are as a staff for sure.
So working at home is a new concept, certainly for you and for a lot of folks. When you get away from the Zoom meetings, et cetera, what are you doing for fun right now?
As surprising as it sounds, a lot of my routine hasn't changed in terms of initially, wake up, have a cup of coffee. Instead of driving to my office at High Corbett, I'm in here in my home office, and again, just trying to touch base with players, watching some video, doing some recruiting things, really trying to look at the totality of what all this means as far as our roster and where that's going in the coming years. Try to get on the treadmill for 20 minutes a day. I'm not training for any marathons, that's for sure. But, and just try to get better at whatever we can. Certainly there's been some more family time that we typically don't get, during this time of year, which is a positive. And, really just trying to stay connected to where we're going. One of the things we said, the day things shut down is, our goals or our destination where we want to go, that doesn't change. We're just kind of out of our control, being delayed in when we're going to get there again. And so it's really trying to keep our eye on that and doing whatever we can do.
Major League Baseball would have started its season this month. That obviously didn't happen. There is some talk that they could come back at some point this summer, an abbreviated season of some sort. Do they play all their games in one place? Do they split them up? Nobody knows if there's an ideal plan right now. Jay, do you think that Major League Baseball should try as hard as possible, if it is safe, to play at some point this season?
I think you just said the key thing, is it safe? I think, the thing that has risen to the top of my thoughts with everything is humanity and health, really, not taking our health for granted. Like, what is the best for that? And so I know we have a lot of smart people working on it. I know there's a lot of opinions, and there's going to be some positive opinions with, trying to move forward with like getting a baseball season started. And there's going to be some negative opinions. I think as long as it's safe, it is well thought out, those smart people have put together the best plan that they can, and nobody is in jeopardy. I think it would be great to be able to turn on the TV and watch the Yankees and the Red Sox or the Giants and the Dodgers and get to, get the feel of normalcy, if you will, back again. But for me, that's all under the condition that it's a well thought out plan and that we're minimizing risk involved in that.
You mentioned recruiting earlier, and so much has changed in the world of recruiting now. Social media, phone calls, emails, etc. And since now that is your primary form of communication, how have you structured your future recruiting with the guys right now that you're in contact with?
Well, I think a lot of us, and we were actually at a Pac-12 coaches call yesterday or Zoom meeting, and a lot of us I don't want to say feel stuck, but we kind of need to know what the immediate future is and how it's going to unfold before you can really kind of move forward. I don't think it's changed a whole lot. I mean, for me, recruiting is about relationships, and building solid relationships with the players that you're trying to bring into your program and the people that, influence those players, if you will. And so really it's, a lot of time on the phone and really making the best of this situation. And I really like being able to sit face to face, with players and have those kind of dialogues and those kind of communications, but that's not reality for anybody, right now. So, we've put a lot of time into the group that would be joining our team next year. It's a really, high level recruiting class of guys that are really going to positively impact Arizona baseball. And I think really fit well into the fabric of what we want to continue to build here. And so it's kind of started with them, and then, checking in with the guys that have committed to us to ensure same thing, their family's doing well. They're staying on top of their academics, because online learning, that's new for them too. And then, just kind of softly touching some future targets out there, if you will. But most of the focus has kind of been on the immediate right
All right, so I can tell that you've been on the treadmill. You look like you're in great shape, but when you go to the fridge, now you're home,
now.
so when you're looking for that snack, what's your go-to snack right now?
Ooh, yeah, it's a good question. A lot of fruit, a lot of yogurt. We try to minimize our time out. It's a one deal to the grocery store, and then try to stay away as much as we can to do our part in helping this thing out. But I'm pretty boring. I mean, there's still that what do you call it, the Uber Eats or whatever of
Oh, yeah.
Chipotle. Good bowl for lunch with a lot of steak and a lot of chicken in it.
All right. Well, Jay, thanks for joining us. I know it's killing all of us not to be at the ballpark every week, but I'm glad your staff, your players are safe and well. And 2021 is going to be here sooner than we think. And I fully believe that baseball will be back and ready to go, and we look forward to it.
Yeah, we look forward to it too. And just last quick shout out to our fans, and just want to thank them for their continued support. I really believe we've had one of the best home field advantages in college baseball since I've been the coach at Arizona. High Corbett's a special place. And that's really because of the energy, the enthusiasm that they bring. So, yeah, one of the things that's missing is what I would call 3,000 of my best friends on a Tuesday night, a Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday. So I hope they're all safe, and we can't wait to see them back out at the field.
All right. Well, I've saved up a lot of good questions for pregame interviews. So
let's get those going again. That would be great.
Right for next year. All right, Jay, thanks. And thanks for everybody for joining us. Bear Down with Brian Jeffries. Next week, we're going to talk some golf, and we'll see you again then.